Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us today. My name is Hall Martin. I'm with 10 Capital. I want to thank everybody for joining in. We have a great presentation today here from the guys at Oracle. They're going to talk about the ERP systems and how it works for startups. For those who don't know about 10 Capital, we'll show you here a few slides about 10 Capital and where we came from. We started in Austin back in 2009 and have since grown to be a national network called 10 Capital. We shortened it when we went public, or it went national in 2017. And so now we service companies and investors from across the country. And at heart, we're an investor relations service that is helping startups and investors connect for funding. Glad to share this information with you guys when we get there. And so with this, let me go ahead and thank you guys for joining us today in the audience. If you have any questions, go ahead and pull them up. And let me bring up our presenters today from Oracle. We have with us George Ploss and Emily Davila. George, if you can, go ahead and jump on up here and tell us more about yourself and what you're doing there. Then we'll have Emily do it as well. And then George will kick off with his presentation.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for joining. So I'm George Ploss. I am the global head of the Oracle NetSuite Accelerator. I created and started it about a year and a half ago. I've been at Oracle for about 10 years, had different roles. Prior to this, I ran our solution consulting, or some like the market name Solution Engineering Academy, where I recovered CPAs and MBAs, and I showed them how to demo our products and solve business cases. Prior to that, I ran Veterans Affairs for Oracle. Prior to that, I was a solution engineer myself. Prior to that, I was a derivatives and commodities analyst, and I did all of that while being a United States Marine, both on active duty and the reserves. From Southside of Chicago, undergrad and MBA, University of Illinois, go Illini. And I'm from the South Side, so that means go Sox, not Cubs. All right, with that said, I'll turn it over to my partner manager, Emily Davila.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Davila. I'm the partnership manager for the NetSuite Accelerator. So I work with George on a little bit of everything. I've been at NetSuite for about 5 years now and currently based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm pursuing my MBA at Columbia right now.
Great. Thanks, Emily. George, let's hear your presentation about, when to implement an ERP system into a startup. Looking forward to learning more about this. And those in the audience who have questions, put them in the chat box, and then we'll jump into it with your questions in a few minutes. Go ahead.
Before I talk about how amazing our products are, I'm just going to go over and give a very brief history of what an ERP, very brief history of what an ERP is, what our ERP is, generation 1, generation 2, and then we'll have an open and very frank discussion, talk about when a company is ready for an ERP. So, all right, just went over the agenda. You all know who we are. I am indeed the person that you see on the screen, and as is Emily. So what is an ERP? All right, this is the definition of an ERP. I'm not going to read it for you, but what I want you to take away from this is that an ERP is a unified database. Now, we all relate to databases differently. Like a database could be something as simple as a spreadsheet. It could be something as simple as a highly matrixed database that has zettabytes upon zettabytes of either structured and or unstructured data. But an ERP is an application that sits on top of the infrastructure is around, it sits, then it goes to platform level, and the application sits on top of the database. So you see that little area or disk right on top, that is where the ERP sits. And so an ERP, you can also think of it as an amalgamation or a conglomeration of a lot of different ways to access data that are specific and relevant to the business that you are operating. This is a people's history of an ERP for you Howard Zinn fans out there. So an ERP actually started in the 1960s as an MRP, which was a materials resource planning tool. So IBM and a tractor company helped create it, because if you can imagine a materials planning or like a products and distribution company, there are a lot of materials that go into creating and manufacturing tractors. And so thinking of the hundreds of thousands of parts that go into a tractor, the materials that go into it, where they're sourced from. Think about all this data around all these disparate systems that you have to track, procure, assemble along an assembly line, and then sell as a finished good. And so the need of an ERP came from an MRP, and that was built out of a market need to really coalesce and analyze data. And so as computation evolved over time, so did how we use MRPs, which then became ERPs. So in the 1990s, that is when ERPs really skyrocketed as a business function and business need. And that's also where we as a company pivoted from not just to being a relational database company, but also from selling ERPs as a market staple for large corporates. And then between the 2000s and the 2010s, that is when data really started becoming the new raw material of the world in which we are today. And that's also when hosted computation, or like what we affectionately call cloud computing, grew as well. So instead of you being limited to that one machine or a myriad of machines in which you were in front of, now you had access to any and all network devices to process workloads, jobs, computational ability, et cetera. And so it's really fascinating to see like where we were from like transistor technologies in the 60s, to now where we are in 2024 from a data analysis, aggregation, visibility, computational ability, and then how we define that and apply that towards the enterprise. On the right-hand column, you'll just see aspects of an ERP that evolved over time. And so that leads me into what our ERP looks like at NetSuite. So a lot of companies, especially as they're starting off, they only need one or two aspects of the entire enterprise. So some, like for example, do you see my pink box? Oh,
Yes, we can. It's a little bit purple.
yeah. Okay, good. All right. So like CRM, that's a point solution. That's an aspect of an ERP. E-commerce, like Shopify, that's an aspect of an ERP. Let's see here. Accounting, you think of like QuickBooks, that's an aspect of an ERP. But at some point, your business grows as to where it's more cost effective. And it's not just more cost effective, it's more beneficial to you for you to go have one single source of truth and you to open up one application to see every aspect of the entirety of your business. And that is what we offer at Oracle NetSuite, and NetSuite is an ERP. Any questions so far?
Not yet.
All right. So now we covered a history of an ERP, NetSuite as an ERP offering. Now we're going to talk about my program and how I run the NetSuite Accelerator. So because of the fact that ERPs are so data intensive and so incredibly important and mission critical to businesses, they offer a market premium. But we partner up with organizations like 10 Capital to offer our ERP for startups that are in our program at a very, 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 very steep discount, like from a preferred pricing standpoint, because we want to disrupt the journey of a business experiencing negative business event and then realizing that they need an ERP, and put NetSuite in the hands of a startup to increase the likelihood of success for them. And then with that, we also offer mentorship and strategic guidance. Oracle is a large corporate organization. We're one of the largest and oldest tech companies that are out there. And so we have a lot of core competencies from our leadership who have signed up and raised their hands to mentor startups in our program. So from anything from guidance on strategy to guidance on operations. As part of our program, we offer technical and functional support. I'm not going to get into that, but then we also offer up our space and our resources as a community engagement model. So if you want to, for startups that are in our program, partners that are in our program, you can use our spaces throughout North America at essentially at zero cost. If you're part of the program, and then also for startups in our program, we offer office space as well. This is what the journey looks like for a startup in our program. They go live on NetSuite. As soon as they go live on NetSuite, I and Emily and my team, we sit down, we have a strategic business meeting. Basically, what we do is I try to figure out what your core needs and what your growth needs are, so I can leverage the brunt of Oracle's resources to help you grow. We also, as part of the program, you get access to what's called Suite Pro Bono, and Beyond resources. Basically, what we do is we take our best and brightest from the entirety of the company, and you give us a business case or a problem that you're trying to solve, and we solve that for you. We take it and we deliver it right back around to you in 3 months. And then we ideally your company grows, and then we turn back around and we turn it into a customer success story. So this takes that ERP, and this change, the program that we have changes, puts us in a position from being a software provider to an ecosystem partner and a partner in your growth. And we limit our access to 50 companies per fiscal year. This is an example of some of the startups that we have in our program. Jaka, we're a sugar from fruit. We met through you all. So yeah, they were fantastic. They're based out of Florida. So with that said, I want to turn it over to, I want to have a deep dive. And I want you all, and I want to open it up to questions. So let's go.
So my first question is, does the tech stack change as the company grows from pre-seed to seed to Series A? What does that look like?
Yeah, so no, that's the value proposition around the ERP itself. So the tech stack doesn't change. You just unlock more features in the tech stack as you grow. It wouldn't make sense for a company to have to rip and replace their entire data infrastructure and corporate business infrastructure every time you meet a certain growth point. So the like the whole goal is from like when we were looking at the history of ERP earlier, we went from a capital expenditure model to an operational expenditure model. So like instead of you going, when's the last time you bought a CD or like a disc or like
Quite some time now.
yeah. Like imagine a time where you actually had to walk into a store, purchase software with a software key, come back home and unlock it. And then every time you had to update it, you had to either purchase an update or you had to go get the new version of it. Right. So like then you had to reinstall it on your machine, which was incredibly inefficient. So then like an ERP, especially like cloud-based ERP was what I'm talking about. The tech stack unlocks as you need it more.
That's great. Now, is there variations among different sectors like finance, life science, tech, and AI?
Yeah, I mean, there are aspects. So here, like there are aspects about the ERP that you don't necessarily need, and so you shouldn't have to pay for. So let me pull back up that slide. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Right. So if you buy a house, and you want a house with if you buy a home, and you expand your home, you only expand to what you need. You're not going to put in a basketball court if you're not a basketball player. You're not going to put a pool back there if you don't want to throw pool parties and you're not a swimmer. So if you look at all the aspects around the ERP, some of them are going to be general. Every company is going to have, I hope every company is going to run payroll, and use HR services. Every company or entity, even if you're a nonprofit, you're going to use a CRM, whether you treat them as customers or whether you treat them as donors and large gifts. Not every company is going to have a highly matrix product offering that needs a configure price quote tool. So yeah, so you only upgrade, you only pay for what you need.
That's right. So do you have to be a well-funded startup in order to use this, or can anybody use it?
Anybody can use it if there's a specific use case and business need for it. So a lot of startups that we see coming into our program have multiple licenses across the entire industry. So like say you're an ABC company and you're running on QuickBooks and you're using Salesforce or HubSpot, and you're using like a handful of other like different point solutions to run your business. Like they may be working out just fine, but all that data needs to aggregate somewhere, and you probably have to log into each and every one of them to get it. They're not talking with each other. So with an ERP, like it brings it all into one place. But then also like from a material standpoint, your one of the things you're looking at as a startup is like what's your burn rate and what's your burn multiple. And so if you've got different contracts with different point solutions that expire at different periods that expire at different periods and different accounting periods, it's hard for you to keep track of like your cash on hand, and then relate that and then do an accurate like forecast of what your operational expenditures are going to look like. So it's hard, right? It's going to take a lot of manual effort. You know, I can forecast for the best of them, but it's like, yeah, it's difficult. So the whole point of like our program is to bring all that in house and for you really just to focus on as a founder what it is you're trying to do and trying to achieve and leave all the back end operations tasks.
And how much are you helping the startup with their cybersecurity requirements? How much protection is built into this thing?
Yeah, so that's a conversation about like on-prem computing versus cloud computing. So if your corporate architecture exists inside of a cloud solution, specifically inside like Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is what NetSuite runs on, then you are allowing your business to be protected by you know like by the largest private entity on the planet than which a third of the internet runs through our data centers. You know, we were talking about from a cybersecurity standpoint, NetSuite uses NetSuite's PCI compliant. So from a payment card industry standpoint, you know, we use 256-bit encryption through the browser itself. Now, then, if you're talking about cybersecurity at the infrastructure and the cloud infrastructure level, and you're talking about how to protect yourself from vector-based attacks, or if you're doing penetration testing, or you know, you're allowing yourself to be protected by a series of network data centers across the data region, and you're not limited to whatever on-prem system you have or whatever limited cloud provider you have. And like we go a step further because all of our data centers we own and operate. So, which means that you're protected from a physical and logical security standpoint because they're all Oracle employees. And then the real estate that we use for our data centers, you're protected at every layer, both and through every dimension. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes. My next one was around the hardware required, either laptop or PC. Is there memory requirements, processor requirements, or would it work on anything?
For ERPs, for a cloud ERP, all you need is an internet connection. Now, the caveat to that is like don't break out your old school like laptop or from way back when, but like you know the faster, more consistent your internet connection is, the better you are. Now, a lot of people ask, does a cloud ERP work if I'm offline or if I'm air gapped? So the short answer to that is going to be yes. If you're using if you're using NetSuite and all of a sudden you lose your network connection, you know, there's a local cache that saves. So any changes that you make inside your instance then gets uploaded and saved into your instance as soon as your connectivity regains as soon as you connect it. There we go, connect again. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. So what's the AI angle here? Everybody's got an AI angle. What's the AI angle on this one?
Yeah. So, all right. So so there's artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then there's deep learning. And a lot of companies call themselves AI companies when really just purchased an AI integration, you know, to run tasks. So all AI does is allow us to be better analyzers of data and then also automate tasks based off of our historical patterns. Now, if say you are give me a company, any company.
Any company like Philips.
All right, Philips Norelco.
Yeah.
Okay. So say you're Philips Norelco. So say you know that every year you purchase X amount say that every year, at a specific date, you purchase X amount of cold rolled steel as a material that you are going to turn into a finished good as a blade for your face, right? For automatic razors. And you know that like clockwork, there's a accounts payable person or there's someone on the procurement side who procures that all the time. AI can like automate that process, and instead of the human pushing the button, that order is automatically put in, and that reviewer just like you can automatically approve that purchase based off of like a threshold that you predetermined set, or you can establish a management control in between that process and add that. Now I want you to expand that to like the nth power, and then look at that from a macro perspective. If there's a lot of repeated tasks in which you don't want to establish controls, or you want to automate those controls over, AI allows you to do that. And with NetSuite, you can do that with certain aspects of the suite.
Great, great. So AI is more assistive than doing it for you, or would you characterize it the other way around?
I don't know. Do my kids raise me, or do I raise my kids?
I guess it's a little bit of both. Yeah, that makes a good point. Cool. Well, good. Well, my next question is really for Emily around the partners that are with this. Can you tell us more about the requirements for becoming a partner here? What level of community were you diving into with this group?
In terms of our partnership practice side or
Right.
the
Yeah.
partnership practice side? Yeah. So we have twofold of what we do. One of the aspects of our program is introducing founders to our partners. So our partners are 10 Capital, for example, but also we partner with VC firms. So we have about 65 partners and 150 relationships with firms. So firms like Sequoia Capital, Hustle Fund, SOSV, and many others. And that's an opportunity for us to tap into our network to provide introductions and opportunities for funding. And if anyone's interested in becoming a partner, we offer preferred pricing agreements in order to formalize that partnership. And what we look for is that they have the same goals as our program, which is supporting startups in the seed to Series B, C stage.
So if I join this program, what community am I joining? What do I get out of the community itself, which usually has a lot of partner elements to it?
Yeah, well, we have members across the US in different locations, and the way that our program works is we offer office space in those locations. So it acts as a way for you to coordinate with other members of the program in order to come in, learn from each other, but also participate in local events in that specific hub, or online events as well. So we have something that we call the Executive Development Series, which George touched on, which is an opportunity for our cohort members to learn from the leaders in our organization of what to think about, what we've thought about from startup through acquisition with Oracle, and really open format for consulting focus. So it's very a way to really develop their expertise around certain subjects, but also act as a subsidy for their team members who might not have, in-depth analysis or experience in that specific topic. George, do you have anything to add on the community aspect?
Yeah. A lot of you are hiring or have hired people in which one develop into a leader inside your organization. Those executive briefing sessions allow you to look at both our journey from when we were like the first cloud company in 1998 to where we are in 2024, and extrapolate that across every operational pillar of your industry.
Yeah, and we do offer an opportunity to have joint marketing alongside our efforts. So for example, if we're sponsoring a conference that you'd like to attend, then we offer that opportunity to our cohort members. And if there is an opportunity to feature them in a press release that we're putting out or on our webpage, we also have a conference that we have ourselves where our cohort members will attend and feature their products. So it's an opportunity to have this community where NetSuite's not just a software that you're leveraging, but really a partner with your organization.
Yeah. Also, you join a community of other founders who I think are pretty cool, yeah.
Well, you have the accelerator program itself. Is there specific things that people get from the accelerator in addition to what's listed on the screen here?
Yeah. Those sweet pro bono and pro bono consulting, that's when we take our best and brightest and we solve whatever business problem that you have. That's so I How do you have a whiteboard anywhere in your office of like things that you want to work on, or you like a notebook anywhere of like,
Not official whiteboard up on the wall, but I do have something on the desk. Yeah.
right? So then do you ever like look at that at the end of the day and you're like, I didn't get to that, and it just keeps going on and on because it's like a large. So those are the types of projects that you can give to us, and then we can take our best and brightest to solve them for you, because we want to keep our employees motivated on really cool and interesting and unique projects. And then you, as an accelerator member, are the beneficiary of that. And so not only is it just a really cool like thought leadership lab, but it doesn't stay nebulous. It actually turns into something of material benefit to your company if you're in the program.
Great. And you have this office space. Can I use that like a co-working space? When I go to New York, I can just office out of Oracle, New York City. Is that a possibility?
You have startups that use that all the time. They do exactly that. Like say, like if they anytime you travel, if you want a place to rest your head, if you want a place to host prospects or investors, then that's a perk of the program.
How many offices do you have around the country?
We have a lot, but for this program, we offer up San Francisco Bay Area, Santa Monica, California, Denver, Austin, Texas, Chicago, Nashville, Boston, or Burlington, Massachusetts, is right outside of Boston, and New York City.
Wow. Okay. Got it pretty well covered there. So that sounds good. Through this community, is it possible to meet investors?
Yes. So I manage all of our VC relationships. So if you are raising or are looking to raise, then I would sit down and talk to you. We would go over like who our partners are. And our partners know that this is part of the deal from a partnership standpoint. Because the program itself is creating bi-directional deal flow. For VCs always looking for good companies to invest in if they're running on Oracle NetSuite and Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, then they know from a data standpoint that the data that they consume as part of their due diligence is gonna be a lot more accurate than somebody just sending flat files like spreadsheets, somewhere. So that creates a competitive differentiator for us and for people inside of the program. And then we figure out who we want to introduce you to. But then also, not every company necessarily needs to open up a tranche of investment. Sometimes you need to go to the debt market. You should go to the debt market instead. And so, we've got partnerships with Wells Fargo and with JP Morgan on the investment banking and commercial banking side.
And do you make, if I wanted to sell to a strategic partner like Chase, could you make an introduction that way?
Yeah, yes, I'm more than happy to make an intro that way.
Oh, okay. Great. If anybody in the audience has a question, please post it. We'll check interest here in a moment for a poll. So looking forward to your feedback there as well. We have a little bit more time here. I wanted to catch up a few more things that come into this process as well. Where do you see the ERP platform going in the future? What's the next stage of development here? Is it AI or is it something else?
Yeah, I really do think AI is going to automate a lot of mundane compliance tasks. People ask me all the time, like, George, where do you see AI going? I'm like, I kind of like laugh. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Where do you see the automobile going? Like, but there are a lot of things. I remember back in my day when I was a young entry-level employee, a lot of what I did was data entry. I worked for a company. I worked for a company called Wolfram Research and Wolfram Alpha, like makers of Mathematica, and like Wolfram Alpha is still alive. A lot of what I did as a web research and project coordinator was take notes during web development meetings. And then I would take those notes, I would aggregate them, and then I would put them in Twiki language in our like local Twiki database. So I'd script it all out in Twiki and then put it in there. That job, probably could be, even to this day, could be taken, like to some degree, could be taken away with an automatic note taker that can then turn that into a script and upload it to a database. Now what, the same thing for like automated buyers. So like from a compliance standpoint and from a mundane automated task standpoint, I think it's going to take a lot of that away. Now, what we learn, and we know this now because a lot of us either consume machine learning and deep learning tools and use them from day-to-day standpoint. They don't understand the context or the nuances around the human condition, like yet. So there still needs to be like some type of content manager or context manager that's there. So, I see 5 jobs, becoming maybe 3 to 2. And then I see automated tasks becoming that. I see automated tasks and compliance requirements becoming more automated. So,
Well, I got to ask this question. 2 years ago, if we were doing this, I would have asked about your blockchain strategy. And I know these things take time to develop. And, I was always looking for real world applications for blockchain, aside from supply chain. Where would it fit? But what is your take on blockchain these days?
I mean, the idea of a minted unique token that is digitally recognized is and will be the future. And so I think the amount of energy it uses to like run an efficient blockchain is going to decrease, as is the amount of energy that's going to take to um, uh, uh, when you train a model. What's it called? I'm blanking on it. When you train an AI model,
Oh,
when,
the LLM. Yeah. Yeah.
when you inference the internet, essentially, that is going to decrease because the information is going to be compounded over periods of time. Like, the amount of compute that it takes to like train an LLM is ridiculously expensive. And then also moving away from like CPUs to GPUs, and how like GPUs and are a very rare commodity right now. Well, they're a very rare asset. They're a very rare asset, but they're going to turn into a commodity over a period of time, given how many people use them to run anything and everything is going to be like that's something to think about. Like we have a startup in our program in which they're a GPU marketplace. And they run decentralized GPUs in order to make it less expensive for you to train AI models. If you think about all the GPUs that are sitting around and not doing anything, that's there. But to get back to your point about blockchain, and your question about blockchain,
Yeah.
digital tokens that are um, uh, tamper free and tamper proof. I mean, that's huge. And however you want to tokenize something to create or solve a business problem, that's going to be up to the creativity of the human.
So do you have partners around the blockchain right now that can facilitate the ecosystem?
I don't actually. I do not.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious about any tools that come together that help facilitate that up front. Blockchain
I mean,
unfortunately got conflated with cryptocurrency, and that went off in another direction. And these technologies always take a long time to develop. So it's following the Gartner hype growth curve, where there's a lot of hype, and now it's finding its actual applications. And AI will do some of the same things, although it seemed like it hit a productivity curve early on the AI side. So that seems more interesting. Do you think there's really 100x productivity in AI?
what exportivity?
100x productivity.
Oh, okay. Yes, if you add time as a dimension and time is undefined. So yeah, yes, I do think there's 100x export productivity in artificial general intelligence, but not AI. I think AI, as we know it now and as we use it and consume it now, in 100 years, it's going to be the same way in which uh, a textile threading machine was used. Like it's gonna seem so. I don't want to be overly speculative here, but it's gonna seem so uh, um, outdated.
Does
Yeah,
Oracle use AI to write the code for its systems now?
I cannot speak to or talk about what our developers do and how they use the tools in which we have, Yeah. So, but I know we use the best and latest tools to come up with the best products.
Well, that's great. Well, getting back to, I guess, what we normally use on it is we're normally using tools for, communication and fintech, like accounting and bookkeeping and those type of things. And then there's some other tools around graphics and presentations. And I assume you have all of that in there already. Those tools are already available in some way, shape, and form. Do you align with any platforms, Apple, Windows, Google, or anybody else, or is everything your own?
Yeah, so Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is our cloud infrastructure, which is what we as a company run on, and then what we offer, and it's our version of Google Cloud Platform, AWS, et cetera. And then from a NetSuite integration standpoint, we integrate with a lot of other point solutions that are out there. Like a lot of our startups, even though we have a native CRM inside NetSuite, a lot of them still like to use HubSpot, so we have a HubSpot integration. A lot of our startups, use our Stripe integration on NetSuite as a payment processor and payment portal. We have thousands of integrations and partners that we use, and you can go to suiteapp.com or look up SDN or Suite Developer Network to see from a NetSuite standpoint who we partner with. At a macro scale, Oracle partners, depending upon the data region, with a lot of different companies who, at some level, and are competitors, and at some level of the stack, and our partners.
Okay.
Oracle
My
and
last
partners.
round of questions is for Emily is, if I wanted to be a partner for Oracle, what would I need to do? What does it take to do that? What hurdles do I have to go through, and what requirements do I have to meet to just get in the door?
It depends on what partnership program you're looking for. So there's a
Easy
range
one.
opportunities.
Yeah,
Range of different opportunities. I would say the Solution Developer Network is an opportunity where you can integrate with the NetSuite product and then become a part of our marketplace. And it's a way for you to attract customers that are already leveraging NetSuite today. So maybe businesses that have a specific need that NetSuite isn't able to, that doesn't focus on, that might accommodate the integration aspect. So add on top of our platform. For example, our payroll system doesn't accommodate for outside the US. So if you have employees outside the US, we have partners that integrate with our platform that's able to provide that benefit. So if you have a software that can add to NetSuite, you can become a part of our marketplace, but they look for strategic partnerships and people who can accommodate the influx of customers once you join our program. And that specifically is called the SDN network. And every, I believe, Oracle product has a similar marketplace. So for example, the hospitality side of Oracle has their Opera software that's owned by 70% of hotels. They also have a separate marketplace that you can apply for. So I'd say that's a way to attract customers. Specifically with our program, we look for organizations that partner with startups.
Is there a cost to join as a partner or stay in the program?
I believe there is not, but I would have to confirm with our SDN team since I'm separate from that team.
Okay. Is there an annual event that people come together to learn about it?
There is not an annual event. There is a web page that you can go to if you just look up Oracle Solution Developer Network, and that has some information on how to apply.
How rigid is the compliance requirements for the software to work with both softwares to work together? What is the challenge there?
We actually have a session coming up to talk about that specifically. And that's going to be run by one of the mentors in our program. He mentors one of our startups, but he's also the global head of our partnership of our Suite Developer Network. So his name is Guido.
Happening July 18th, and anyone on this call is welcome to attend. You can just ping me for the information. I'll send you over the calendar information.
Is that in person and online?
Just online.
Just online. Okay, great. Well, for those in Austin, tell us about what you guys are doing here in Austin. You have a big facility in Austin itself, and looking to hold our next roadshow event there, but tell us more about it.
Actually, yeah, you are holding your next roadshow event there. And so Austin right now is our global headquarters. It is a beautiful, massive campus right on east side of Austin, right off of Riverside Drive. That's where my office is when I'm not working at home. And that's where a lot of our startups work out of. Now, it's honestly, all right, a lot of people don't know this, but the cafeteria is open to the public, and the
Really?
Starbucks, the food is actually subsidized there. So you don't pay more than $8.50 for lunch and $4.50 for breakfast. And Chef Drew runs it, and it's a really great place to eat. And like right off the drive. So it's not open on the weekends, but yeah, you should come check that out.
Oh, great, great. Well, we've held our mixer there a while back and had a great time at the Oracle facility. It's a beautiful place and it's a big place and there's plenty of parking, unlike downtown. And so it's got a big advantage there for sure. If there's any questions in the audience, now's the time. We're going to start wrapping up here. I think we covered the topics we wanted to cover today. We did have one presenter who was not able to join us on the startup side. Unfortunately, we'll have to come back and catch them up later, but appreciate everyone else coming in and joining us on this call today. With that, let's go ahead and have closing words from you first, Emily. Anything you want to say to wrap us up here?
Actually, but before we wrap, I did want to show something.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and show us something. Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about when's a good time for a startup to get an ERP.
Oh, let's do that.
So, all right. So here we have an XY axis. X is time, Y is revenue. And a lot of companies, especially in the beginning, you're in that valley of death, right? We all know that 85% of all startups fail. Now, as you're growing, and we talked about earlier about that burn rate, and like what you're trying to look at the difference between top line revenue versus like you're trying to look at the difference between like EBITDA and then like bottom line, and and all while at the same time trying to hit like all these different growth points and trying to figure out if like you truly do have product market fit. So where we sit as where we would be good would be right here, where we're right in the middle of early stage. So once you actually, so like a lot of companies out there don't realize that they're an enterprise. Like once you have, like say I'm a founder and I'm just now breaking $1 million in revenue, which means that I can start paying myself. I can look to hire and expand. I'm starting like I can pay myself. I can pay the very few employees that I have. If your roles are segregated, like if there's a controller / CFO, if you're the CEO, and then if you also have like a CRO or a head of sales or a head of growth, and you're probably looking to bring in somebody to work in HR to like establish and reinforce both your culture and establish and define roles, then that is when you could probably consider yourself an enterprise. Like, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, people thought that enterprises were these big, large, ultra high net worth or ultra large corporate entities. And that's not true anymore. Like as technologies become more efficient and more accessible, how you perceive an enterprise is really, do you have segregated roles and duties? Do the segregated roles and duties need to maintain some type of compliance framework? The answer to that is probably 99.9% yes, because we all have to, if you're a US-based company, then you have to follow GAAP accounting standards. And so that is when you need to start asking yourself, am I an enterprise? And does my enterprise, should we consider investing in an ERP? Oh, that's not working.
No, good point, and really makes it clear where it starts, which is much earlier than it used to. My first job, we bought $1 million ERP system, but the company was at, I think, $150 million in revenue. So it was a big, big thing back then, but now it's an everywhere thing for sure. But with that, let's go ahead and wrap up for today. I guess, Emily, any closing words from you?
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to join this call and learn a little bit more about ERP and the NetSuite Accelerator. I'll say if you are leveraging multiple different point solutions, then you're already at the point where you can leverage an ERP. For example, if you're leveraging QuickBooks, HubSpot, Gusto, that's 3 different platforms versus having one, whether that's us or another provider like us. And I believe we're the only provider that has a program that offers the opportunities that we do that's industry agnostic for different startups. So please consider applying. And if you have any questions about the program itself, happy to answer them. We are a rolling program. When you join is when your experience begins.
Great. And George, from your side?
So I have a guiding thesis of how we run the program. It is everyone uses everyone. You just should never misuse anyone. So our program exists to help you grow because our program is defined by your growth makes our product better, and our product and our program gets better as you grow.
That's great. Well, George, Emily, thank you for sharing your information with us today. Looking forward to seeing you at the roadshow here in a few weeks in Austin. For those online, we will be sending you an email to get your interest and feedback and can connect you back with this group as well. I want to thank everybody for joining today. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for now, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.